let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks. And guess what? Good morning, good night to our global family as well. This is another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and it's good to be back with you this evening. And today's episode of Sabrina Speak, we spotlight two powerful stories of service and solidarity. First, later on in a couple of minutes, we will celebrate Commonwealth Youth Work Week of 2025. And I'm expecting to have some guests from Youth Services Unit, Cayman Islands Government Department, who will be highlighting for the first 15 to 20 minutes, highlighting how Cayman's youth workers are creating safe spaces and brighter futures. And then we will turn to breaking discussions from some representatives of our Caymanian delegation that visited Jamaica earlier today. We're expecting to be speaking with some representatives from Hazard Management Cayman Islands. We'll probably be joined by Red Cross and also Dr. Joe Marzouca, who we know is the Jamaican representatives here in the Cayman Islands, as they share with us what they witnessed. I have some pictures taken with them down there, and how the Cayman Islands here is stepping up. So from mentorship to mission, and this episode is a testament to leadership, resilience, and regional unity. So the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal or medical or financial advice. So I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited disclaims all liability for any discussions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented here. And don't forget to like, follow, and share. You can also subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And welcome to all of my new followers and subscribers. You are greatly, greatly appreciated. Yes, well, let's see who's commenting. Firstly, this evening, Connie Bonnie, how are you, my love? You think I didn't see that okay from you yesterday? You something else, That okay was like, okay with an attitude and a lot of attitude. You are just something else. Happy Thursday to you, Connie. I'm even reading you on the social media platform. Yes, Damian Henry, good evening to you. You missed my routine, you brute. You too, Damian Henry. I caught you guys. I kind of hinted at it the night before, though. I hinted at it. But yeah, I had a very important. See, Connie, I read you. I had a very important event to go to. Someone very dear to me is leaving, and it just clashed with this, and it was a hard decision to make. But I was really happy that I took the time to go and share a couple hours with that individual and a lot of friends. And yeah, that's life. And I'm really happy that I did. And that's it. So it was a good evening. It wasn't like I just chilled or didn't want to be here. Oh, no, that's not the case. But really, I had to take priority when it comes to friends and family and those who are dear to you. Yeah, I had to make that decision yesterday. It was hard, but to be honest, hence I hinted at it the evening before. But yeah, ultimately I decided life is short. And I said, you know what? Let's go say farewell. And there you got it. Hi, Ariva. How are you? Blessed good evening. To my teacher and classmates. It's so good to have you all here and good to be back. I'm being honest. It's good to be back. Yeah, Connie, I'm on to you. Glassford. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Barracks. How are you? Welcome to the show. Let's see something here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I see. All right. But yeah, I want to say birthday shout outs as well to anyone that I have missed this week. Pretty much have been consumed with Hurricane Melissa. Oh my God, the images coming out of Jamaica is still heart wrenching. And there's just so much that we're not seeing because we know that Digicel has reported 70% of digital services are still offline following the passage of Melissa. And Flo also says that mobile services remains stable for 70% of its customers, and now they're depending on Starlink. I hear that there's some partnership with Flow and Starlink now that persons who are living in these rural areas where the actual infrastructure lines, that sort of stuff does not exist or has just been compromised. That's the advantage of Starlink. And for those persons who happen to have had Starlink service, they are the gems of those areas right now. And God bless those persons for sharing that connectivity just to be able to send a message to their loved ones saying, look, I'm good, I'm alive. Just that is enough, or a thumbs up to say, look, I'm here, it's me, or a simple picture to their loved ones overseas to let them know that they're okay. But yeah, it's been, so there we have it. I've just making sure I got into weather for you, making sure we give you the latest updates. And that's why we had 2 days back to back. Thanks to Sandra for just joining us so that we could share some of these videos and latest reports, because it still has people baffled. It has scientists really, really baffled to it. There's a lot of information out there as well. And people are entitled to their opinions. I could be honest with you, me myself scratching my head, but I guess you can't, in our age group, our generation, you can't wrap your head around something so intense. And with the images coming out of Jamaica and still more to come, you're like, was it a bomb? Was it a huge tornado? Which pretty much, if you look at how it spins, it looks like a tornado, or this hurricane had a lot of tornadoes into it because you can see it. But it was just, there's not even words that can describe for us who didn't live through it. And even some of the information and some of the leaders that were speaking in regards to what they experienced, you can hear the sheer shock. They're in shock, just trying to remain strong to address their constituents, to address the nation that has been, this jurisdiction, Jamaica, has been the center of attention of the world. And when you hear leaders who have been elected to lead, and they're not even concerned that they're received property damage because they are there to lead, they have to do what they have to do for their people. And you can see in them before the set of the hurricane, because I've been following, and seeing them now just trying to hold it together and address the nation. That's something. And some of them are, you can hear it in their voice, it's shock. And I am concerned for the mental stability of the people trying to get back to some normalcy, some just going and they can't even identify streets, their neighborhoods. And then the reality that they're going back to maybe shambles or just a spot where their houses once were, or they're going back to what remains partially a shell. And it's just amazing the mental toll that it will take on these people for a long time. And when I say people, I do not put in any separate class whether or not you're the prime minister or you're the farmer. Anyone who has lived through that. And that is going to be with them for the rest of their lives at a different level. Now, of course, the eastern side of Jamaica versus the western side of Jamaica sustained much more significant damage than the eastern side. So, of course, the stories will be different from one end to the next. But as we continue to navigate this space and show solidarity, it is going to be one heck of a recovery, and it's going to take all of us together. So, yeah, I digressed from the birthday shout outs because everything was not that you were any less, but it's because we had so much content to share, and we understand that this space is not just us here in the Cayman Islands, but we understand our population is diverse. We have a lot of Jamaican nationals here who reside with us, work with us, are now Caymanians themselves. And because this is being watched again from people all over the world. So yeah, we did our best and we will continue to keep you abreast. And that's why I'm waiting for my guests to join us a little later so that we can hear some more as to what's happening around us. But I'm very happy, though, that we were able to step up to the plate and create history. It'll go down in history, Cayman Islands stepping up to the plate as the first humanitarian aircraft to land on Jamaican soil this morning, bringing humanitarian aid to that country. But we will leave that to our guests later on around 5:30 that will be joining us to tell us more of exactly what it was like flying over, how that exchange went. And we'll have them deliver that for themselves. But, before I go on any further, I have to send my sincere condolences to the family and friends and loved ones of Pastor Galmorn. I know him as Bobo. Glayman Grant. Bobo, better known to everybody else as Bobo. And if you had told me that was his name, I would ask you, who's that? Because I know him as Bobo, working at customs for years, all that I know of my life and my short stint in immigration many a times because of how once you were at the airport, immigration and customs officers those days, because we were separate, we work shifts together, and he was a gem, a pastor and a well-known vocalist. And no one performed in Cayman Hallelujah Square the way Bobo could deliver it. He sang for so many funerals, and I want to just send my sincere condolences out to the family and friends and his extended family for this loss. It's going to be huge, a gem. As long as I could recall, he had a laugh that light up anywhere. It was so genuine. It was so whole. You had no clue what Bobo was laughing at. But those days, how airport was set up, you could hear him laugh when we were waiting on flights. You had no clue what he was laughing about, but you would laugh too. And that was just who he was. So yes, my sincere condolences go out to the family, and my thoughts and prayers are with them as they navigate his loss, and may his soul rest in peace. Yeah. So here we are. We are going to go into, we see where there was some news coming out of, let me go on to Facebook here. Hope that doesn't pull me up live, where it's reported that two men that went off fishing from Spot Bay. One has been found in Honduras, thank God. We got a white call. Yes, caller, you're live on Sabrina Speaks.
Hey, you're in the green room.
You are? Oh, why didn't it tell me? Hold on. What green room? That must be another one. Green room. Oh, there you are. There you are. Gotcha. Let me bring you in.
Okay.
All right, let me bring you in. Thank you so much. All right, let's bring our guests in. I was just actually buying some time there. There we go. There we go. You're on the side. Okay. Well, I'll hold the commentary for what I was saying in regards to that news, but great news coming out for that. Sad for one that doesn't make it. Best early reports received. So we will cover that and much more stories on CMR and more. So let's bring in our guests from Mr. James Miles. Good evening, sir. How are you? Will anybody else be joining you?
Yes, my head of unit, Miss Melanie Bryan,
Miss
support
Melanie? Okay. Is
with me.
she?
Waiting.
I don't see her in that. It was only you. Let her join me again. It's only you.
Yeah, let her know. All right,
Okay.
she'll try to log back in.
All right, please. Go ahead.
She should soon be joining us. I can look for her to come
Okay.
back.
Once I see her in the thing, you want to start then?
Yeah, but how are you? How are you doing?
I'm I'm holding it together as best as I can. I'm thankful. I'm just happy to be here on this Thursday. It's just a mix of emotions with everything we've covered all week and seeing our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, Cuba. Now it's headed to Bermuda. It's just been one heck of I see her now. It's just been one heck of a week, to be honest.
Uh,
There she
get
is.
any reports from Turks and Caicos because it went through that area as well, and they were
Nothing yet. Not personally, no.
because
Okay,
I
there
know
we
they
go.
were just bouncing back from a storm.
Yeah, and some of the reports that we're getting out of Jamaica as well, people were just like starting to rebuild their houses post barrel, and now they have like, oh, starting all over again. Hi, Mel.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. Good evening.
Good. I
Now,
was starting to wonder.
oh, if for some reason, normally once my guests pop in, I get a notice, but it didn't happen this evening. But it is a pleasure to have you
Thank
both. We
you.
were just filling the time here to talk about what's Commonwealth Youth Work Week and what it means here. And, you know, the 2025 theme is powerful to say the least. It's building brighter futures, safe place, and trusted support and opportunities to thrive. So you're here today to tell us about, your department, what your department will be doing in regards to this. And I'm so pleased to have you join us here on the show, Youth Services
Yeah.
Unit, Melanie Bryan Waugh, and Mr.
Yes.
James Miles here. He is in charge of, let me get your right name, your right title. You are Youth Services Coordinator.
Yes, and
No
this is
stranger.
my head of unit.
Yep. No stranger to Sabrina Speaks. And it's a pleasure to have you all here with us to tell us more.
Yes, well, we are celebrating Commonwealth Youth Work Week. It is a week that started back in 1993. So it's several years. It started with the Commonwealth Youth Program that used to be in the region. They had a 40 years in our region before they closed the regional offices. So
Mm-hmm.
it started then in 1993. We've just recently been celebrating it because it is now more of a focus for the youth services unit. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the aim is to really utilize the week to highlight the important work and celebrate youth workers, mentors, and coaches, anybody that really works with young people. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that always happens like the first full week in November.
Right. Now, both of you are two dynamic leaders who pretty much dedicated your entire lives with youth empowerment. I know somewhere or the other, Miss Bryan was a teacher. And, here, you just found yourself full circle. What does what does this whole celebration means to you personally and professionally, Miss Bryan? Miss
So for
Waugh.
me, that's okay. So for us at the Youth Services Unit, it's highlighting the good work our youth workers do, because sometimes those persons who work with our young people go unnoticed, unacknowledged. And it's amazing how much impact they have on our young people. So it's
Mm-hmm.
highlighting the things that they do that, we don't always see.
Mm-hmm.
It might be after school, it might be an evening after work, on a weekend. We have so many groups on island that work with our young people and do some really good work. So just
Mm-hmm.
highlighting and just acknowledging the
Hmm.
importance and the impact that those youth workers have.
Right. Oh, wow. Now, looking at the highs and lows of pretty much youth work, what, you know, if there was one moment that really affirms your purpose, what would that be, given all of your time working with the youth?
So for me, it's the highlight with that is when you go out in public, you go to conferences, you go to fosters, and you see young people with their kids or with their families, and you
Hmm.
realize that they're doing well. And that's because of the impact that youth workers, that teachers, that coaches have had on their lives. And
Right.
it's really good, there sometimes you'll have young people saying that, oh, they're so sorry for the trouble they gave when they're in school and those sorts of things. However, my response is young people are doing what young people are supposed to do, and
Hmm.
that's challenging. And
Oh, really?
as yeah, and as youth workers and teachers, our responsibility and parents is to guide them to use that challenge in a positive way.
Hmm.
So
Jamo?
yes.
Yeah. Well, for me, it is a time for us to really focus on people who pour into people,
Hmm.
especially those who take on the task of pouring into children that are not their own.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It is it's it's almost a tireless job, and sometimes it's thankless. But a lot of young people are becoming a lot more grateful now, and
Uh-huh.
it's like we were talking. Um,
You think it's maturity hitting them and they can reflect back as to what they do, just trying to figure out, well, why did I do that? Why was I so challenging? Why was I so like pushing their buttons? It's like I was lost self-control. And it's like
so
this light
it
bulb goes
goes
off
full
in them
circle on them, their
when
children.
they have their kids.
There's no pushing their buttons right. They're like, oh yes, that's
Yeah.
why we're giving
Yeah.
Mr. G such a hard time, or Miss Brian such a hard time. But
Yeah.
it's great to see them pouring back in, and we're starting to see a lot of young people who we poured into
Mm-hmm.
pouring into future generations, and we see it especially in our youth ambassador program. I
Mm-hmm.
think Ms. Brian will touch a little bit on some of the programs that we do and that
Sure.
we'll be trying to highlight this week, the next week, which is Youth Work Week. Um, and you see those older youth pouring into the next generation, and they're not their mom or dad. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're pouring into someone that is not your bloodline, is not
Mm-hmm.
really a mandate, but you do it, and that is what we're celebrating next week.
Okay. Go ahead,
Yes.
Miss Wah.
We have our Commonwealth Youth Ambassador program, and this year we have our new male and female youth ambassadors. We have Devonte Joseph, who's our male CARICOM Youth Ambassador, and we have Ashley Gooden, who's our female Commonwealth Youth Ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
We have our alternates who are Diara Hoyt, he's our male alternate, and Danny Seals, who's our female alternate.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we have our previous youth ambassadors, Miss Vanessa Burke and Destiny Daly, our female youth ambassadors. And just through that program you see,
Mm-hmm.
as James has said, our youth, your young leaders who were in youth programs as youth and are growing to the point where they're now giving back. And the youth ambassador program is one of those things, because it's not just locally but regionally and internationally, and
Mm-hmm.
giving Cayman a voice in those spaces that we didn't typically have,
Mm-hmm.
before, or something that was as focused. And the passion behind them,
Right.
they are very much vested in their communities and want to see the best, and the creativity and the innovation that comes out of these young people is
Mm-hmm.
just fantastic and really, heartwarming as well.
Right. Jamo, you must be excited for this event.
Yeah, it it has mixed feelings because it always normally fall around Remembrance Day,
Mm-hmm.
and we know the importance of Remembrance Day, and it is, and how important it is to our freedoms that we cherish,
Right.
right? Um, but for those who are soldiering on and
Mm-hmm.
making future generations brighter, this is also something worthwhile celebrating, and we here in the Cayman Islands have quietly done it on radio stations and stuff. So this time we're planning to focus a lot on social media,
Okay.
because that's where a lot of people are,
Mhm.
a lot of traction, and this is the reason why we actually targeting this show to promote
Oh,
it, because this is social
you're
media
welcome.
driven. You know what I'm saying? And like we need to get where the people is, where the people seeing,
Thank
and we
you.
can really appreciate all of those persons who work with our young people.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
if we could do it every week of the year, we would, you know. But especially next week, we can try to see how we can really focus on it. We asking all the youth workers and the youth groups to kind of share what they do, and
Right.
for the young people whose lives were impacted uh,
Hmm.
greatly in a positive way by youth workers, to share their story on social media, uh,
Right.
thereby highlighting the great work that a youth worker has done for them.
Right. So tell us, what platforms will you be using? I know you're here telling us because it's coming, but how can they upload all of their stuff and what website? How do they get more information on getting involved? And it's almost like testimonials.
Yes. Well,
Yes, it's testimonials.
we sent out the templates to them yesterday, so
Okay.
they can start to select who they want to highlight and what story they want to share, and it can be
Mm-hmm.
on whatever platform that they use. If it's Facebook or Instagram or wherever they use it, or if they just want to put it on their regular website, they can. Um, but we want them to use the hashtag so we can see that it's a global movement.
Mm-hmm.
That way, um, everybody can share in the stories from around the globe. And youth work is in almost every place and every space. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and
pouring
and
in.
to include us as collaborators as well, so it will show up on our feed as well.
As well.
The theme building brighter futures, safe places, trusted support, and opportunities to thrive. This
Mm-hmm.
year's theme, it highlights a lot of what even our government is doing in this day
Mm-hmm.
and age, because there's a lot of work that they've been doing on child safeguarding
Mm-hmm.
in schools, in youth programs, all around the island, and just really
Mm-hmm.
enforcing or ensuring that we have a lot of protections around our youth. So,
Correct.
building brighter futures, safe places, trusted support, and opportunities for our youth to thrive.
Now we're seeing there's a lot of great things that are going on, and I'm so happy that I have been one of those who are able to provide a space to give an outlet. And I know eventually it will make sense. Anytime I told Mr. Miles, anytime he has anything to do with the youth and getting these good stories out there, you do not know what that means to the young people that somebody is hearing them. You have a
Yes.
platform with a huge following. Thank God to CMRTV.com. You have this space. That has able us to propel not only locally, but people are watching us around the world. And that says a lot for the young people, understanding how they have embraced social media, podcasting, that sort of stuff. So, I'm happy that your department is embracing it, because then it aligns with the very name youth. You are actually keeping up with reality. You're not
Yes.
left behind. Mhm.
In, indeed. Indeed.
And
Yeah.
one of the great things that brings me joy about even using this platform is
Mhm.
that about 20 years ago,
Yeah.
young Sandra Catron
Uh-huh.
was host of Uplex radio show
Yep, yep, yep.
with a plan in mind to do just what she's doing right now.
You see? You see?
And it has come full circle where the same youth services unit that poured into Sandra
Mhm.
now using Sandra's platform to broadcast around the world
Correct.
what the young people and the youth workers are doing in the Cayman Islands. And
Mhm.
this is it's almost it's very gratifying for me to see
Mhm.
young
Yeah.
people been poured into is adding to not only community but is also stimulating the economy and
Mhm.
and and helping to promote our society in positive ways. And I want to thank you for giving us this space. And
Sure.
I'm hoping that during the week next week that we could try to highlight some of the youth workers by
Yeah.
sharing on your feed of
Mm-hmm.
what we've been collaborated on,
Right.
and that way you can see what youth workers are doing in Cayman, what youth workers
Mm-hmm.
in West Bay and in the North Side, um, and those that are quietly doing their stuff behind the scenes that don't. A lot of youth workers don't blow their own horn or don't want people to blow their horn for them. So this is an opportunity for us to say, okay, we could take the time to
Mm-hmm.
post stuff about what we do at the youth services unit, because right now our youth empowerment officers are busy doing the youth assembly.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a Thursday, and then on Wednesday they do a youth media matchup on Wednesdays after school. So
Yeah.
they're busy doing these weekly programming of our own, and that is poured into the next generation, and we're hoping to highlight that during the week next week.
Right. So if you're from Town, Cayman, West Bay, youth workers who are creating safe spaces in schools, churches, sports fields, or online, this coming week, anything that you do, the Youth Services Unit is inviting everyone to join in and be a part of that. Let's make this go trending. So if you're a coach, a youth worker, share your story, post a photo, a quote, or even a short video. And in doing that, make sure that you tag at Youth Services Cayman and use the hashtags as well. Miss Brian, you were going to say, I keep calling you two names. People may think it's two persons, but it's one and same. I going back to school and then I'm going back to the married name now. So please, I'm not being disrespectful. She's
Yes,
still Miss Brian. Nothing
that's
disrespectful, Mr.
yes,
Wall.
yes,
I love you
yes.
too.
No, totally understand.
Okay.
So yes, just to say, and use this platform to say thank you, Sabrina, for allowing us to come on here to share with you, as well as to say to our youth workers and all the young people who the youth workers work with, to say a
Mhm.
big thank you. You are not unnoticed. We see it in our government jobs, the young people who come through the system. We see it all across Cayman,
Mhm.
and the young leaders that are coming out of what you put into them. So thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate you and we look forward to making more connections with you.
Yes, yes, yes. I know that was almost a wrap, but I'll still give you an opportunity for final thoughts, closing words. Yeah, you thought you were going to get away, so you thought you were going to wrap up, but it is that important because you guys got so much going on. There is so much going on, huh? Go ahead.
It is that wrap up to say amen and have a good week.
Is that what you think? That's what she was thinking.
And sorry, one thing I also want to include is that we also have a lot of our young leaders and our youth workers in our heritage and our culture space
Hmm.
that I don't think they get enough recognition either. We have
Ah,
quite a lot of our young people who are again vested in our culture and our
correct.
heritage and want to see that supported and highlighted. So we have young people in those spaces as well.
Hmm.
So just to highlight that also.
Okay, see, I told you. Now, Jam, Mr. Miles, you can give us your final thoughts because I'm quite sure something will pop back up in Miss Melanie's mind while you do your wrap up. Reminders, recaps.
I want to thank all the youth workers as well, but I also want to let them know that this week we should also try to focus on self care
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. We've lost quite a number of people that pour into young people,
Mm-hmm.
and when you constantly going and pouring into people, you sometimes don't notice that you're getting empty. So
Mm-hmm.
this week that's coming up, Youth Work Week, try to take some time to focus on yourself a little bit, and allow your young people to highlight you, cherish and value you, and to show whatever tokens of appreciation that they wish. Just accept them and and,
Oh,
and take care of yourself this week too. And if they are
right.
get a break, then get a break.
You better take it. It's hard though. That speaks a lot of all of these persons who give so willingly of themselves to feed into the next generation that it's hard to actually do exactly what you're saying to receive because they're so accustomed to giving. It comes so genuine, it comes so natural. And if you're just made up that way, that's just who you are. So to have those who you are pouring into, to see them blossom into great leaders, great men and women of our society of the future, yeah, that takes a lot of energy from someone who's accustomed to giving. So it may take a little used to getting used to, even if it's for just this week.
Yeah, at least practice one or twice.
Yep. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you. I hope that this
Thank
will
you.
not be the last. I hope to be seeing a lot more of you as we continue to highlight and showcase our youth here and all the great works that you all are doing over there. But let's see if this call is for you guys. So I won't run you yet. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Jamo and Miss Brian. Good evening to Miss Brian and Jamo. I know they're ready to go back Jamo. What happened to the chicharron? Tomorrow's Friday. Chicharron time. If you do have it ready, I have to give her a little business. I'm still waiting. You forget? I is so fine. Chicharron. The fried cassava.
Melissa, slowed it down. Melissa, Shelma, Miss Shelma, Melissa. You're going to be in the BRAC tomorrow, and I think we're touching base with you because I will share some information as well. There's an event going on over there in the back, but in the BRAC. Yeah. So just to give a little heads up to them and promoting that event over there in the BRAC, there's going to be a haunted mansion over there setting up, Shamaya and her team, and I'm hoping to get her maybe for a couple of minutes to tell us. There's two nights, Friday night and Saturday night, hoping to get her on tomorrow.
I'll try to see if they can come on the call as well. Those who are pouring into the young people there, and especially the teachers and the cadets, very strong in the BRAC.
Yeah.
Get them on the call as well, because I think they could be taking part in that haunted house.
Right. Okay, good. So I'm excited for tomorrow evening as well, but as that's Halloween. Tomorrow's the 31st. So yeah, but thank you.
Thank you too.
Yes, please. That's a lot. It goes right into our theme for this year.
Exactly for an event like that, because that's 2 nights, lots of work going in, lots of sponsorship as well, and it continues to grow over there in the BRAC. And I'm happy to be able to assist in promoting that event. Again, to you, lovely people, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your service, and talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Yeah. Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We're waiting for some representatives to join us now from Hazard Management. I see one of my guests in the back, but I'm waiting for some other persons to join me as we get some information and update on a trip that happened earlier on today. Yes, we had a delegation that went over to Jamaica. And we're going to be getting some update from Representative Ms. John Doe Obi from Red Cross. We're hoping to be joined as well by Ms. Danny Coleman. Let me see if they're not in the green room. Let's see. Nope, not yet. So it's only one there. So I'm waiting for the other guests. But, I want to take this opportunity while we're waiting for our guests to pile in, because I don't want to throw Ms. John Doe under the bus at all. I see you. It's only me seeing you right now, John Doe. So I'm just waiting for Ms. Coleman to join us, and I think the Dr. Marzouca as well is scheduled to join us. So I will wait for the rest of them to file in, and then we can start the discussion. In the meantime, for those of you, thank you for joining me this evening. It is a pleasure to be here again with you to bring you another episode of Sabrina Speaks. And it's almost a 2-in-1 show. Yes, I'm almost making up for yesterday. Attending a personal event. Cameron, welcome. How are you, my dear? You said what? We were talking about Melissa and the strength and how much damage is there. You said the scientists, ? You turn conspiracy theorists now? Nope, not at all. I just report what is in the media and I am balanced, my dear. Connie, most of the time those hurricanes come with tornadoes. Yes, we had a few in Ivan too. What was reported? What was reported is that we had a few as well here in the Cayman Islands when Ivan, and you could see almost where it touched down. So, oof. Yeah, Connie says, being in two and it was not half as bad. And I cried for days for the duration, the big storm. It was scary. Yes, it was, Connie, it was. Those winds were really scary. And I remember chuckling yesterday when I came across, I think it was Instagram, a post from a gentleman. And for those of you from Jamaica would understand the terms maybe more, but it took me a little while for it to process what the gentleman was saying. He said, if anyone was to ask him, and I quote, paraphrase actually, if anyone was to ask him whether or not he's scared right now, he would not be lying. He would say, yes, he is. He's not only hungry and tired. He says, I'm scared. And he said, he's supposed to be a kappa. I had to figure out what that meant. But he said he's really scared when he heard the woo, woo, woo. But it's how he says it in Jamaican dialect. And you could see the sheer fright on this gentleman's face. And he would be deemed then somewhat of a bad guy, a bad man. And he was actually taken back by the sound of the wind and the rain and what he was observing. So let me tell you, the force of Mother Nature. You see what that does you, and it humbles a lot of people. So, but even the baddest of guys, I understand we're like, OMG, what is this? Cameron, whose hair believe that mankind are trying to be God and will use weather to fulfill our will? What y'all think? That's a question by Cameron. Miss Dorothy, good evening to you, my dear. Welcome. Good to see you with us. And Cameron says, if Jamaica believe in Obia, they will understand the works of mankind to try control the weather. Only the Most High run things round ya. True Caymanian farm. Sabrina, what is the Vision 2030? We're hearing our Jamaica peeps talking about it. Yeah, that's popping up in big deadlines to be a tech center. I think I'm just popping this out of what has been coming up on news headlines, guys, that they were looking at for a tech city. And this is sources that are not confirmed, but there is oil there and there's commodities such as gold. And, there's nothing has officially come out to say, we know that they had found oil, but the commodities where gold is concerned, and that this was all the doing because where they wanted to build is now clearing the land for a different type of Jamaica. And there's a lot of information coming out of there. You have to pick up whether or not it is facts or not. And that's why it's important for the next segment of Sabrina Speaks when our guest joins us with humanitarian aid, how important it is to use reliable sources and making sure that you're not donating to persons that are not going to get either your goods or your monetary donations to the right sources. And this is why we constantly have to make sure that the channels that we use is reliable, it's government backed or reliable. And because we found out already that there are some unscrupulous acts that are happening and people are trying to monetize off of this unfortunate situation. So yeah, it is. There's a lot of information coming out linking it to 2030. And that's where the conspiracy theories are coming out, that this was all mankind or escalated by mankind to clear that area just because of the path. But I'm not here to validate any of that. I look at a lot of the weather and not being no professional, but people are free to think whatever they want and only time will tell. But right now, they are trying their best to recover. I can only imagine what the delegation from the Cayman Islands saw as they flew in to Jamaica, to Montego Bay airport this morning. And for anyone who visits Jamaica often, that would be able to identify certain spaces from the aircraft, I'm quite sure they must have been blown over at the sheer devastation that they saw during their arrival and actually upon their return. So once they come on and they can share with us what they experience, it will be quite similar to okay, there we go. I am not seeing these people. That's the problem. No, Hold on a second. Just bear with me. I'm not seeing them. Let me send them another link. Yeah, I see you. I see John Doe. I'm just not seeing anybody else. So let me do this. I'm going to paste that there. This is what happens sometimes. John Doe, I see you. I'm just waiting for the others to join us. So just bear with me. I'm not seeing the rest. Maybe they can join us. If they're hearing me, just come out and come back in, like what John Doe had to do just now. Let me resend it to Danny and Dr. Marzouca. There we go. So there we have it. I'm not seeing them at all. Nope. So there we go. Just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just getting these people. Oh, there we go. There's Danny. Danny's coming in. There we go. Yeah, see, you're there. You're there. Okay, let me add you all to the studio right now. Right now. No more delays. No more delays. Good evening, Danny. How you doing? Good evening, John Doe.
Good evening. Good evening. How you doing, Sabrina? You good?
Yeah, I'm thankful. It is such a pleasure to have you here. You know if the doc will be joining us, Dr. Marzouca?
I do believe he is, but there is, I think, there's a different link going around. So I will make sure he gets this link so he's on the right.
Yeah, just forward that to him. I did just now. So once I hear him pop in the background, I will. But it is indeed a pleasure to have you all join me. Understanding you all had a very long morning so far. And yeah, I can only imagine what that was like, because we're going to switch now to relief and exactly try to see how much you can share with us, because earlier on today, and I'll give you an opportunity to try to get the doc on.
Yeah.
You know, we here in the Cayman Islands as a region reels ourselves from this Hurricane Melissa that just passed, and our hearts are with, God knows, our brothers and our sisters there, not only in Jamaica, but they got the brunt of it, right? And then it moved on to Cuba, on to Bahamas, and then, you know, even Bermuda, it's in its path now. But beyond the whole sympathy lies the responsibility and just clarity and resilience, and what we did with the Cayman delegation that went down there, which you two, is John Doe, were you with the delegation as well?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, but I know Danny was with them. I saw the pictures, and our Honorable Premier, we had the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Honorable J.E. Banks, Minister of Home Affairs and District Admin, Nicholas Da Costa, and the Leader of the Opposition, also the Honorable Joey Hugh, was amongst those that were there. But now we're into assisting and letting people know exactly what it's like to assist our brothers and our sisters rebuild. I mean, how does that make you feel? And this must be so important, both of you, Danny and John Doe, that our national flag carrier was the first plane to land in Jamaica with humanitarian aid, while, you know, it's such a critical time and so close after the devastating disaster, while some 490,000 people remain without electricity, and over 13,000 people remain in shelters. That must be heartwarming to you to know that our national flight carrier could be one of the first that touched down for such a significant time. That must have been something warm that covered you all this morning.
Sabrina, I think it really was. It wasn't just the first flight. We had the first relief flight in.
Relief.
Cayman Airways was the first one, and the second flight was the first commercial sort of repatriation flight. So the first two flights to arrive on the landing strip in Jamaica today was Cayman Airways, and they were sitting side by side. And again, I think it was a real proud moment for all of us to know that, you know, we managed to turn around the release so quickly and get the pledge so quickly, both cash and in-kind donations, and of course medical supplies in there to help our neighbours. Obviously, it's so incredibly important to be quick with us, because those first few days are really the life-saving times, and we know they've had a real obviously we were in Kingston as opposed to Mobay Airport, but
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I misspoke there. Yes, it was Kingston.
Kingston. But again, you could just really tell, just even in Kingston, just how much people have been going through. And obviously the airport itself there is actually doing okay. There's no water, but it's fine, and the infrastructure's in place. But again, it's just incredible. Yeah, Cayman Airways. I think even like last night, talking about sort of pride moments. Obviously, this got turned around very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The decision was made early yesterday morning that the flight would leave around early morning this morning. But of course, that also meant that the supplies had to come from these suppliers here in Cayman and get stocked on the plane last night. So even the packing of the plane didn't finish till about 11 o'clock last night. And then, of course, we were first off this morning around 7 a.m. So the packing, again, talking about Cayman community feel, we had the Cayman Airways cargo guys, they're just amazing. Again, we were calling the Tetris Load Master today because every single ounce of that cargo hold was full of relief supplies. And again, it's really world class to see just how much one can get in the cargo hold of a plane. It's just very strategically. But we had the hazard management staff there yesterday. We had the regiment guys there helping last night, and it was just really cool to be able to all work together. And again, other volunteers who came out to help pack just so we could be first thing this morning. But the delegation was a really good delegation, and again, we sort of divided. Obviously the ministers and obviously the premier and so forth, and the Dr. Marzouca, the team went to Government House to do a press conference, and we stayed at the airport to unpack the donations off the plane and basically hand them over to our counterparts at ODPEM. So we actually, because there were a couple of delays here and there, so we had to actually leave 3 of our guys there to hand over the goods to them, and they've come back on the flight this evening. They've just landed. They also wanted to obviously engage with the ODPEM crew, who are already incredibly busy. But it was great to be able to hand over that equipment, generators, tarpaulins. Obviously, the medical relief team under our NEOC structure, which is largely combined of Health, HSA, Doctors Hospital, and Health City. The donations coming in from the medical side in Cayman were amazing. So we were able to, and also the regiment were sent over some MREs, meals ready to eat, for the JDF, Jamaican Defence Force crew. So lots going on, but again, very happy to be able to pass that over to ODPEM. And again, at least it helps with that initial response that they will have to do in the communities. But it's going to be a heck of a job ahead. I think the road ahead for them is really going to be very, very tricky. And I think our ongoing support is going to be incredible, really, really needed, be it more relief supplies or again, a number of different ways we'll talk about more on the show as to how to help. But I think, it's going to be a long road to recovery.
Yeah, which goes into the role that Red Cross may be playing in this, or will be playing in this. Can you share with us what role you'd be playing, John Doe, from the Red Cross perspective here in the Cayman Islands?
Yeah, we've been working quite closely with hazard management. And when we were talking with Danny, we realized that it's been the whole week sort of monitoring, and we were thinking it's coming here. So when we talk about preparation, there was a lot that went on behind the scenes, having strategic meetings, making sure the volunteers are on standby, making sure everything is ready in the event of, and thankfully nothing came here.
Right.
So right now, the Red Cross has launched a monetary appeal, and we've shared that. I believe we shared that with you as well, and I think that's being shared on your website and your social media handles. And the whole idea is we're trying to get people to donate money at this time. A lot of people in Cayman want to give stuff. My phone started ringing from about Saturday last week saying, what are we doing? What can I send? And even today I got 2 phone calls saying, I've got a box, I'm bringing it to the Red Cross full of clothing, and I want to give to Jamaica. And that one thing I like about Cayman, people are very giving, people want to help. We've been saying over the past week is that there's a term we call unsolicited goods. If somebody does not ask you for something, you don't want to just give it to them.
Right.
There are a couple of reasons why we don't just give stuff, And one of the reasons, first of all, is that the people on the ground, so we're talking about the Jamaican government, the Jamaican Red Cross, and other key players need to do assessments. They need to find out what's going on.
Mhm.
When they do the assessments, they then take that information and collate it and say, this is what we need at this time.
Right.
If we're sending clothes and they don't need clothes, all we're doing is we're just clogging up the supply chain. And that's not very helpful. And we've seen this time and time again from Ivan 20 years ago up until now with the various disasters. We're clogging it up. They need stuff and they can't get it because we're sending our things. So
Right.
one of the things we want the members of the public to know is that thank you very much that you really want to give clothing and other things. But at this time, there is a request from the Jamaican government. It's very clear on the needs that they need right now. Yeah.
So it's more, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I mean, again, unsolicited donations. In fact, I've even changed the word now, John Doe, from unsolicited goods, because there's nothing good about unsolicited items. So unsolicited donations, again, become really tricky. And there's so many different reasons for it. The supply chain, as John Doe mentioned, gets clogged up. So instead of getting the life-saving equipment that we need to get through to them, be it medical supplies, be it tarpaulins, generators, whatever that looks. Tourniquets. We had tourniquets on the flight today. There's a lot of really, really important equipment that needs to get through. Now, if by chance the supply chain and the airports are blocked with items like clothes, which no one needs clothes right now. Everyone we saw has been wearing clothes. That's not an item, and it's really hard to stress this enough because, again, if you block up the supply chain, potentially, you're denying people of life-saving equipment. So actually, it's an incredibly detrimental thing to do. John and I both saw it in BVI after Irma. We had 2 container loads, 40-foot container loads of broken doors that were sent again that prevented other items coming in. We always, in the aftermath, we always see things like, in BVI, another thing was a load of left shoes. It's very strange. And then also, we often see medical pharmaceuticals that have passed their sell-by date. So you imagine.
Oh, okay,
so,
yeah.
Your former position, how important it is to ensure that medication and pharmaceuticals are disposed of in an appropriate, safe way. So if you've got containerfuls of these items that can't be used, you're taking the resources away from the disaster responders on the ground trying to clear items for the greater good of the country. And also other things. I mean, in Thailand after tsunami, I was there for about 7 months. And one of the things we saw all the time were these massive mounds of clothes because people donate clothes. And the clothes were attracting vermin. And they're so bad for vermin. Also, because it rained every day, they were just getting soaking wet. So there was mold issues, there was vermin issues. Eventually, we had to basically torch with gasoline, had to torch it to basically get rid of it. But of course, again, you're thinking about the smells of this stuff, and also perhaps more importantly, how hard that is on the morale of the people who've gone through this first disaster, only exposed to mounds of clothes afterwards. I mean, it's really very, very unfortunate. It's one of those things that John Doe and I have been harping on about this for years, but I think it's a really good opportunity to continue to remind the public just how important it is to be following what Jamaican government is asking for at this time.
Right. And you see, based on previous experience, that many a times in the initial aftermath, that cash will go further because then in this case, the eastern side of Jamaica was not as badly damaged as the western side of Jamaica, and they will have hardware stores there as well. They will have access. So sometimes the funds, the cash, the actual liquid will go further because that keeps money circulating in their
100%.
economy that is key to getting back to some sort of normalcy. So just saying, oh, but all the kids, especially those areas now where their roads have been totally cut off and we don't know when they're going to get there, yada, 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 they may need clothes. We see pictures coming out of there that pretty much people are going into the community looking for zinc or whatever lumber they can find just to pretty much put some sort of covering over there until proper materials come. Even that is not clothes because they're washing out. We're seeing makeshift clothesline where they're washing their clothes. But what is the biggest thing? Utilities, telecoms, that sort of stuff, food. So it's amazing how much further monetary donations can go versus clothes at this time. Generators, medical supplies for life-saving issue, because where there's life, there's hope. And I think people need to wrap their head around that. For right now, it's not that you are choosing what people have. It's just looking at it from a logistical standpoint of things at this time.
Yeah.
No,
and the cost associated with the transportation as well alone is something to be considering.
Yeah, no, I think people don't realize, because if you think about it, even if we loaded a container right now and put on a ship, somebody has to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, and then when it gets there, it has to be cleared. It has to be put somewhere. Somebody has to also take the stuff out. So what we're doing is we're taking away from the response mechanism, because they're busy, they're swamped, and we're adding something that they don't need. So I like to break it down. I mean, Sabrina, if I came to your house and you say, you know what, I need pillows. And I said, well, that's nice, but I'm going to bring you some bleach.
Yeah.
I don't need bleach.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think people need to realize that. So it's not like bleach is not a bad thing, but at this moment, Sabrina is saying, can I have pillows? And so if we can really respect the country, and they've given us a list, and we're trying to work towards that list, I think together we can support better. And there's one thing about coordinating. You know, coordinate and work together.
I think also human dignity. I mean, again, it's just, it's empowering to be able to buy your own thing in your own local market, as you say, Sabrina, to be able to restore your own economy is one thing. But the human dignity element and the fact that you know what you want. And again, so just going back to the cash program, the cash donations, like Red Cross do have their own cash program that they've done around the world over the years. And that might be something they consider for Jamaica. But again, they might also instead standardize the equipment. So you donate to the Red Cross or Rotary or so forth. And what they do, they procure items such as sanitation, cleaning kits, what's being asked for by OddPen. And then they can basically give out standardized items. So again, you know, we had the same size tarpaulin, or we had the same size jerry can. And the little things like that at this time are actually mean a lot more than they would do in blue skies. You know, when we're around here, the fact that John and I might have different sized tarpaulins is not an issue. But under extreme conditions, and again, having been what Jamaica's gone through this week, the little things are going to become big issues. And I think it's incredibly important to give cash if you can to charities that you respect and you know and you've done your homework on. Red Cross, of course, you know, John and I, of course, love very much. But there's Rotary funds, there's a Jamaica fund. There's a lot of funds that will be opening up, fund appeals that will be opening up. And again, whatever suits you, you donate to, and do your homework. Make sure they've got auditing folders, so you're not giving to a bogus charity. We've seen that over the years. A lot of charities, pop-up charities, and actually the money goes nowhere near the recipients. But know that your funds will be going to a good charity that procure items at a good price and can ship standardized items to the affected areas. And these guys, again, know the business. It's, you know, logistics is a very intricate business. You want to make sure that you're doing it right and you're saving as much cost so that the actual beneficiary gets the most benefit.
Correct. We got a caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome back.
Good evening. I hope I'm not starting no kind of worms, but I was listening to what Mrs. The Red Cross woman said.
Miss John Doe.
I was watching some pictures this morning, right? And I heard the lady myself, and I saw Anna saying that they need to overflow the place with clothes, but some people need clothes because she said she was in about the water that she was in had her about knee deep, and she was trembling. She had on her pants and like a shirt underneath and looked like a little jacket on top. And she was saying that she don't have no clothes, that what she was standing in was all that she owned. She said they lose everything. And I was trying to count the people because a lot of them were wrong her, and they were in deep water, and that water was running. And then it looked like a cement slab or something on the side, and there were a lot of people standing on that. And one of them was soaked, and she said that she lose everything she owned. And like I said, she maybe could wash out that suit, but then till they dry, what she gonna put on? And I understand that now it's very cold and stuff. So they will get pneumonia. They would. So they're gonna need some clothes because she said she was standing in what she all that she had owned, and she lose everything. And it hurt me so that I was even crying. I said, my God, look at the clothes that I have up in here. So like I said, they need some everything. They need generators, they need medication. Yes, they need food, but they're gonna need some clothing too, because that's what she said. And I was watching playing the picture, and she said she lose everything.
Okay, thank you for that. We didn't say that they wouldn't at this point in time, but for the role that the Cayman Islands, the role that the Cayman Islands has played today, having done this exercise a lot more time and times before, and we see where the United States, we're seeing where the UK right now is packing up food and other clothing supplies. Being only 45 minutes away, the Cayman Islands chose to go with medical supplies, generator, and with their generator and other sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I understand, but it's still, I mean, I know what it is to be cold. So sometimes I come out of my bathroom, my bed, and I come in to put on clothes. So like I say, it is some everything, and I know that they're getting stuff from Florida too. My daughter told me she's seen planes load not to come, but then like hey, they need a little bit. They should assess because they need a little bit of everything. Cause it's not everybody that still got clothes. Some people is clothesless. Like she said, she was standing in the suit that she ran, and I don't think she would tell a lie. Maybe the other people that were around her too. I don't know who it is. I don't know them from Adam and Eve, but I was watching, and it was Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to answer, just to answer the caller. You know, the Jamaican Red Cross is on ground, and so the people of Kingston, if you think about the population of the Cayman Islands versus the population of Jamaica, there are people in Kingston who are going to be donating clothes, and all they're going to do is put it in a vehicle and take it there. Mm-hmm. That's a very quick logistical distance than us in Cayman, blocking up the larger supply chain of items coming from overseas. So we're not saying they don't need clothes. What we're saying is that at this time, there's enough people and support at the level on ground to be able to give clothing to the people right there. And we have the requests from the Jamaica government, and clothes was not on that list. And that has been published. And so we want to make sure we respect what their request. On ground, thankfully, Kingston was not destroyed. There are hundreds and thousands of people, probably the same population of Cayman, if we think about how big Jamaica is. And they will definitely support the Jamaica Red Cross with those sort of items. Right.
Now, how can the public distinguish between legitimate relief efforts and opportunistic scams?
Again, it's so important.
Happens globally. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to eliminate it, you know, because I mean, having worked globally, people always take advantage of emergencies, even wars, like in Ukraine and all that. There are always people who are like that, and that is why we say be careful. I mean, I can just open a container now and say, put it on Facebook. Here, I have a container going to Jamaica, and people will start. You have to be really careful about these one-person pop-up. Work with organizations that actually have been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah, again, it is. I mean, it's disaster response is quite a specialized skill set. Logistics is a specialized skill set. Relief itself, relief and recovery is another specialized skill set. You know, the people who do this day in, day out in Jamaica right now, you know, are the ones, again, I mean, arriving today, we had the Samaritan's Purse there. We had a load of cargo flights coming in again after us. So you know, and again, the World Food Program. There's a number of organisations going in, but they do this for a living, day in, day out. So they know what the best ways of doing it is. So there may well be an organisation doing clothes, but again, it's certainly not the request right now of the Jamaican government. And just to sort of say, just to add to the umbrella picture, you know, we work under the umbrella of SEDIMA, which is a Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. Now they're based in Barbados, and we're all members of it. There's about 20.
SEDIMA,
yeah. And again, we're having daily, sometimes twice a day meetings with them, and we send everything that we are sending to Jamaica as our manifest inventory stock to SEDIMA, so they can count off in SEDIMA. So there's a list basically from the odd pen Jamaican government saying this is what we need, and they give an amount. But again, how do we calculate that amount? How do we make sure that Cayman and, you know, Turks and Caicos and Anguilla are not all giving the same jerry cans, you know? So even that itself, the coordination of making sure if we've got 50,000 jerry cans and that's all that's being asked, then let's focus on something else. There's other needs and Sedima, again, communicate that with us. Now, obviously, right now it's a bit of we need everything, and being the first flight in there, obviously, we provided our list to ODPEM and Sedima last night, and again, we got all full clearance through the right methods. But even the receiving country, there's a lot of administration that has to happen when sending items into a country, and again, it's quite a big technical. It's there's a lot of sort of things to jump through to get items.
It's a machine.
It's a machine.
And
it's a regional machine. It's not even just a Jamaican machine. Right now, it's a regional machine.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and we have an image here that doesn't really say, well, everyone in this picture actually went on the flight. I stand to be corrected. These are representatives from I'm identifying here HSA that would represent the medical supplies. Correct, Danny? Absolutely. So again, there was obviously a core government team that did go, but a lot of people in this photograph is the Ministry of Health and Medical, HSA. Now, again, we carried a lot of their equipment today. Jace Wilson, who's actually part of our NEAC structure, he's one of our technical chairs. He was with us with the count. So what's happening when the items get off the plane, we do an audit check to make sure every item comes off the plane. And then they get checked in the warehouse as well. So Jace is there checking off all the medical supplies that have been donated by the team, and again can sign off. And then what we do then, we pass it to ODPEM and we get their signature as well to make sure that the audit is very, very clean and nothing, for example, gets lost along the way. We also do an audit before, like last night, before boarding the plane. Everything is audited as well. So yeah, that's an example from last night. So it's a very clean audit process. We want to make sure that if we're procuring on behalf of the Cayman Islands public for Jamaica, that every item that's being consigned to us is given to ODPEM in Jamaica. Not to check that's
balances.
good. Yeah, because you hear plenty of people saying, oh, the stuff will go and the right people will not get it, or stuff will go and they'll end up selling them, and where the money does, when you actually do this, anybody pointing the finger at your machinery, you have an audit that says from receipt to putting on this plane to actually when it gets on the ground in Jamaica and being received. So there you got your little team there, Danny. Look at you. Look at you. That's in Jamaica.
That's in Jamaica. I have to give Paul Tibbets photo credit for this because again, he was the one that took the photograph as part of the Cayman Airways team. But this is this is hazard management, and obviously 3 of our delegates from the tactical coordination NEAC structure. Robert Tatum is from procurement. Again, did an excellent job at procuring yesterday. He had some experience with us last year in procuring for the 3 flights that we did for not Raphael, one before.
Beryl,
thank you.
Beryl.
So we went, St. Vincent Grenadines and Grenada last year, and then a week later we went to Jamaica. So again, now these guys are a well-oiled machine now, from the procurement phase to the packing on the plane, and also the audit on the other side. So, and I must say, I mean, whilst we hate these kind of situations happening, the training for our own team here in Cayman is actually, even if it's a tiny bit of a silver lining, we get a lot of training out of it. And again, that really does help the machinery here to make sure that, when Cayman gets hit, I'm not going to say if, because of course it is one of these days that we will.
It's true.
With climate change and everything else. But I do think it's one of those things that we really, we need to make sure our own infrastructure here in Cayman in regards to our disaster management infrastructure is very well oiled, because again, when you've got a load of planes coming in a relief, the whole landscape changes. And I think, my heart goes out to ODPEM right now, because, with all the flights that we saw today when we were leaving, we know it's only going to get more and more and more, and trying to manage those items coming in, the relief items coming in, and also store them is a massive, massive job, especially when you're absolutely exhausted. You've just been through a big storm and you've had to operate the NEAC, and, it's a big job ahead of them. So I think, again, just another plea to the public that what we're sending is the right stuff, and not stuff that we think we want to get rid of, basically. And I know, I say that, I mean, it's all well intended. I think most donations from the public and from charities is well intended, but it really can block up the supply chain and become, what's already a very difficult scenario harder.
Right. And I heard in the press briefing as well that let me remove this image here, that our premier stated in Jamaica that at US 1.2 million, 2 more million, sorry. What you guys delivered, over 2 million US was with essential supplies, actually was delivered today. And that he has pretty much pledged US 1.2 of goods and essential supplies to be shipped to Jamaica at a later date. So this is just the beginning, and I'm quite sure that more information will be shared. And just like how persons are wanting to do the checks and balances as we go along to make sure that the items are going to the persons that are in need actually reach them. We can only do on our side from Cayman to know that we have checked every box. Now, not going into the political side over there. Once you know we have done our part, we don't want to assume. We're hearing the stories, but we don't want to get into that. We can assure our people here that persons like the Red Cross, yourselves, the government channels here, however, whatever mechanisms you guys have created is legitimate. Now, what happens on the ground there for their logistical standpoint, you just have to trust what they're saying.
Yeah, and we've got some photographs coming out, I guess tomorrow, of the warehousing side with the team there from ODPEM. So they'll be released tomorrow. And again, you can see the checks and balances and the unpacking of the equipment and so forth. Again, it's very hard to know. We liaise with ODPEM, and we'll continue to liaise with ODPEM, and also, of course, with SEDIMA. So with any of that, we will find out in due course where that gets spent. And again, this is all based on needs assessment. So what should happen is the most vulnerable people should get the items first. But again, right now, of course, with the access routes being the way they are, a lot of the roads are down, very, very tricky to access some of the areas. It's going to take a bit of time to get the items there. And again, that's unfortunate, incredibly unfortunate, but it's just, there's a lot happening. But again, with all the relief aid charities going in over the next few days to weeks, it's going to change the whole dynamic nature of what this looks like. And again, I just the coordination and communication is always very important.
Correct.
Really important.
No, I'm sure the presence of the premier pretty much was huge. That impact was huge. And then he actually had this agreement, this pledge. Pretty much this wasn't just a goodwill trip. That in its own entirety for being able to speak, and he was very concise, kudos to him, may signal a shift towards a more visible and regional engagement as we continue to build partnerships. Danny, I know what you're doing from capacity building and sharing of resources and expertise with SEDIMA from natural disasters. With the premier's presence there, that is a huge signal of taking care of our brothers and sisters. And again, what if the shoe was on the other foot? What if it was us that hit? He said, that Jamaica did respond after Ivan to us in the long-standing relationships that we've had with Jamaica. But with Cuba being hit, with Bahamas and Bermuda as well in the path, would it be the same thing now with our brothers and sisters there as well? How are you prepared for that?
I think that's a good point. I mean, again, we've been looking this week and again, thinking about that, obviously we want to allocate money from relief. I say we being the whole government, Cayman government under the premier. I think we've been watching all the countries being potentially impacted. We're very lucky to see that TCI wasn't impacted so badly. And we're hoping Bermuda, of course, as the overseas territories, we're sort of very closely linked as in a constitutional relationship. And we worked very, very hard, both Red Cross delegates and the government over the years with our counterparts in the overseas territories. So we're, keeping our fingers crossed for Bermuda. But it might well be, obviously Jamaica's been hit by a Cat 5 with some serious gusts. And we know the damage is going to be incredibly extensive. But there may well be other things that we need to consider. Obviously, Cuba has had some issues, albeit it was a lesser storm. There may well be significant damage there. We haven't heard back there at this point. But it's not out the realm that we'll have to sort of direct our attentions elsewhere as well as Jamaica. But again, I think the commitment to Jamaica is very strong, because we know the damage there right now is really, really significant.
And I'm quite sure there's much more to come as the images continue to surface. And we're hearing what a big role Starlink is being played over there as well, which for those persons who are not understanding what Starlink is, and just Kima, because you only know you get data, what is well known here, Digicel and Flow, and then you hear Starlink, and we're hearing that they scooped in and pretty much is the saving grace for connectivity and communication with family members. So that's been history in the making right there, where you have two telecoms that would normally compete with each other are now joining forces for the greater good.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. There's so many people at the airport today that we spoke to in the cargo hold and the immigration and so forth. And I don't think there's one of them that hadn't said, I have family in the West and I haven't been able to contact them. Yeah, I mean, it literally, and you see the signs. I mean, again, a lot of people really struggling, a lot of people trying to evacuate. And again, these are the people that could get to the airport, because bear in mind that a lot of the roads access from the West would be cut off. So they wouldn't be able to get to the airport as of this morning. But you can just see just how important communication is, to have days and days later and no communication. I mean, everyone we spoke to was saying, we're saying that you have to work, obviously, and you've got this, and they're like, well, it's always helping, so we keep our mind off it. But the reality is there, and that a number of them had their photographs snapped of their homes or their family homes, and they don't exist anymore. So, and I don't mean to pick a dire picture here, but I think communications and knowing that your loved ones are safe, you can't underestimate just how important that is for your own functionality.
And Sabrina, just to go back to your question about, you had asked the question about the other countries.
Yes.
We've been focusing a lot on Jamaica, but the Red Cross movement, the International Red Cross movement, has 191 countries globally. And so they've already launched an appeal for Melissa. Wherever Melissa goes, they've launched an appeal for that. And so funds will be coming from international bodies. I mean, huge, like the EU and them will be donating towards this. So whilst in Cayman, we're sort of focusing on Jamaica because we're much closer. There will be funds globally that will be going to Cuba if required, and other countries.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So we have on our website, we have caymanprepared.ky Melissa Relief. Now, again, right now it's focused on Jamaica, but the chances are that would be, it would be extended if by chance other countries need relief. And that's the decision of the government, the Premier and the Cabinet. It would be morphed into, as John Doe says, something that encompasses other countries. But again, I think the need right now, again, I don't envisage any other country being impacted by Melissa like Jamaica has been.
And it's a Minister Vaz actually reported today as well in the press briefing that all 3 airports are open now. But as you alluded to, John, Danny, that they're just traffic, being able to access roads or get to the airports is now also posing a challenge as well. So it's one thing that the airports are open to repatriate tourists, because we heard there was 25,000 tourists on the island. That's a lot, and the logistics alone for that. And plus, I'm quite sure persons like from here who have family over there are going to want to go to help their families rebuild. I mean, this is going to take a lot of strategy, a lot of patience, a lot of hope. And we understand that emotions could really rise. And as the days continue to linger and their normalcy that they knew post the onset of this hurricane appears to go further and further in the past, then mental strain will hit people. Red Cross, how will you guys be looking at that? And then there's the public health issues as well with mosquito-borne viruses and other gastrointestinal issues that could arise.
No, that is so interesting, because if you go back to Hurricane Ivan, when we were devastated, we called upon the Jamaica Red Cross Disaster Mental Health Unit. And they flew in here and supported our volunteers. They trained us in psychosocial support, because the Disaster Mental Health Unit in the Jamaican Red Cross is quite big. They actually serve the region. And that was 20 years ago, when mental health was not even
Yep. Yeah, it was still taboo.
Yeah, nobody talked about that, but they have been discussing this. So they will support us because we had volunteers night and day and they hadn't slept. And they just needed somebody to just decompress and just talk to them. Jamaica really came out, the Jamaican Red Cross. So yeah, these are things that we forget. You know, we think about immediate relief and then there's a long term, you know. And if the people have lost loved ones, that's a whole thing that we need to start thinking about for them. So the children, are they going to be able to go back to school in that area? What's going to happen to them? So when we look at disaster response, you know, there's just so many aspects of it and different phases, rehabilitation and all that. So it's a long game. And, you know, I caution people of Cayman, let's exercise patience.
Right.
We're in this together and we really need to work with the experts to make sure that everything is working well.
I think just to repeat again, going back to mental health. I mean, one of the reasons, you know, it's funny because I just came before this chat. I came off an email with Carolina. Obviously, Carolina was the deputy director of Red Cross for many years, and I think the three of us all talk a lot about mental health because, again, during our experiences, you know, elsewhere, we appreciate just how important mental health is. But one of the reasons we have embedded, so we embedded about 5 years ago before COVID, about a year before COVID, embedded Dipna Carton into our NEOC and had a mental health emergency support team that she leads. And we also set up the Cayman mental health helpline. So in fact, I have this nice little water jug here with her, her on it. But again, just how important it is to provide that support. And whilst that helpline was set up before COVID, we've kept it going. So it's still and Dipno and the team, again, Wellness Centre and a number of volunteers have done so much with that helpline now. But again, it's all volunteer led and that line's open all the time. So
correct.
I think it's one of those things that, well, not all the time, they have hours, but they've definitely increased their hours recently. And again, I think it's really important now for people of Cayman. Obviously, Jamaica, we really need mental health support and we'll need it for some time. But even people of Cayman right now who've got family over there, or a lot of people suffering PTSD from Ivan, watching it, they may have no connection with Jamaica. But at the same time, it's really important that we are all focusing on those needs as well, our own wellness. And if you do have family and friends over in Jamaica, which I think most people do from Cayman, we are thinking about those kind of things and making sure that we are acknowledging our own feelings and working through them in whatever way is right for you as an individual.
Correct.
But I think, you know, the resources are there. The Cayman helpline is there, and there's a large number, Alex Panton Foundation, a large number of really good resources in Cayman now for that kind of support. Kids helpline, you know, it's all there. So please don't not contact them because again, they're there to help.
And going back to the staff of the Red Cross and understanding the role that they played in assisting the Cayman Islands post-Ivan.
Yeah.
For everyone who experienced this, let me tell you, John Doe, those people are going to need help themselves.
Oh,
just actually, because they're giving. They've constantly poured. Those persons are different. They're made up differently. But now they too are impacted, and they also still have to be there to try and console persons, even the medical personnel, the frontline, the first responders over there in Jamaica as well. I think outside of the uniform and their roles, people forget that underneath all of that and the titles, they are humans.
Yeah.
And everything is going to be stretched to their limits. And at some point, even clinicians are going to need mental break.
You know,
and
so important.
Yeah, no, I mean, and when I look at the Red Cross movement, you know, following Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas, 2019, I mean, I went there long afterwards, like a couple months afterwards, and every Red Cross organization within the region was there. The Americans were there, the Canadians were there, even European Red Crosses, and that's how the network works. You just come in to support because most of the Red Cross volunteers on ground have been affected. They probably don't have a home. They probably don't have. So we send in experts to be able to support.
But just to reiterate for John Doe, you know, obviously they get invited in, so they're going at the request of the Red Cross.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, it's just like sending in goods. We would never just go into somebody's home per se, but But when they tell us, once they've done the assessments and they say we need expert in logistics, we need in warehousing, we need in transportation, we need in whatever it is, then they tap into sort of the regional and international bodies to say, who's good in this? Like an American who's going to do this, somebody from Sweden who has expertise in telecoms, and together they support. So there's going to be a lot of that in Jamaica within the next couple of days. So
and actually, with that as well, we're, as I mentioned, we were under the SEDIMA mechanism, and we've already had calls out to join and activate with a team over there as part of the SEDIMA mechanism. It's something that we may need to consider. And we do have teams on standby for medical, clinical through our medical relief, EST, again, which is the three main hospitals. But again, I think that, that coming back, when you're seeing all the stuff that you'll be seeing, whoever's working over there right now, my own experience from Thailand, again, after tsunami was, I didn't realize when I was there, having experienced Ivan and then working in recovery for about 7 months, I thought I was fine until I was there. And then I came back and trying to reintegrate again with the community. And I remember I was going to a wedding and my sister says, can I have a head writer? And I'm like, I just blew up. I just exploded. It was such an insignificant thing. We're going to a wedding. Of course, you want to blow dry hair, but I realized then I needed help because it's one of those things.
Oh, wow.
It was a real
trigger for you, almost like a trigger.
And because I'm like, why do you need a head writer? It's so silly, why it's such an insignificant item. But you don't realize when you're there just how difficult it is. And then often, well, I say some people do, but when you come out of it and you go back into normal community, I think that's when a lot of the emergency responders really, really do suffer, because everything really does sort of pale into significance as to how important it is in life. And again, providing support, long-term support is going to be really important for a lot of people who are going to be responding.
Correct. Oh my goodness.
I think we did this in, I just remember Hurricane Paloma, the hit came over. The BRACas just needed that kind of support. So what we did was we called in for a RIT, which is a regional intervention team member. We had one person fly in and we said, your job is just to coordinate that whole thing, because right now the BRACas are devastated and we need one person who has no ties to, I need to check my house, I need to check my family, I need to check my kids. You're far removed from the disaster and your job is just make sure you provide information so we can then provide support. And that worked out quite well.
Right. Now, in a perfect world, we're talking here about assessment of the damage. We can speak at that on a national level, John Doe and Danny. But when it comes to those persons right now who are cut off literally from the world, and they don't have any doors to close, any kitchen to go to, and you see some of the pictures from the helicopter aerial pictures that are coming out, do you think a national response in just triggering certain things just become instantaneous, understanding the vast amount of damage that Jamaica actually experienced? Do you think that what you and I know from the CERT training, from mass casualty, from a natural disaster, do you think then it changes looking at the magnitude of this hurricane and the vast amount, widespread damage that was caused to Jamaica? They got logistical problems in itself because it's such a mountainous terrain. You can have stagnated and standing water into valleys and areas that we're not used to because of just how the Cayman Islands is. There is no textbook that could actually prepare you for everything. They would have never thought some of the main arteries would just be totally compromised. And the walls from where these rivers or gullies are just totally just removed till houses are moved off of their footing. Do you think that looking at this whole going and doing this assessment as you and I and John Doe know it will change because of the extent?
I think so. Going back to what the items we procure. I mean, yes, we wait for a needs assessment from Jamaica.
Right.
We've the conversation we had 3 days ago. We're like, we already know pretty much what's going to be on that list because we have our own experiences. So the items we're looking to procure on standby have been done pretty much before the list comes out. And then what we do is literally, okay, well, they're not asking for that. But again, anyone in this line of work will know that generators, cleaning kits, sanitation kits, hygiene products, there are some very obvious items that you need in any large scale emergency. So to be totally frank, that kind of work goes on behind the scenes anyway. But
Uh-huh.
you don't push the button until you've been asked for it. But it's already almost wrapped, ready to go. And the
All
same
right.
thing with medical supplies. You know, that stuff was pretty much wrapped, ready to go before we got the list. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a really, all we do then is just cross compare the lists. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, yeah, it's the same items a lot of the time that you'll be needing, but you know, some may be a bit more extensive, or they may need much more of one item. And again, you know, it's a fairly consistent list, to be totally honest.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I think in the Red Cross world, they've got these sort of regional warehouses. So there's one in Panama, it's stocked, it's been there. And there's one in sort of Kenya, there's one in Kuala Lumpur, and they just have them regionally because they know that there's certain things that are required until the actual disaster hits. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think, Danny, with all the training that you've had and looking at what we've seen with this hurricane and even storms on a whole, that you could see training taking a different turn in the future?
I think, you know, fortunately for us in Cayman, we've done a lot of training over the last couple of years. We've changed a lot of our systems to do, like right now in the last few days, obviously, because, you know, 5 days ago or 6 days ago, it's been a very, very long, I can say this week has been a very long month, you know.
Yeah.
You know, because we activated ourselves, our own structures for the storm for Cayman 7 days ago, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to get ahead of it. You know, we mentioned sandbags, getting our shelters ready, getting our teams ready. All that was done as a precaution. We always have to err on the side of caution. So a lot of the training we've done over the last few years on the incident command protocols have been embedded again this journey round. I say this journey round because, again, I do think any experience is obviously very good for training itself. You can't get better training than a real life experience.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically enough, I think one of the things we focused on more in the last year, and through actually we hired a recovery specialist, is relief and recovery.
Okay.
So, you know, we focus a lot on preparedness and how do we get our hurricane supplies and all that kind of stuff, which of course I think Cayman nowadays has got a really good hand on. But what happens afterwards? What does your business continuity look like? What does your recovery plan when you've got no communications look like?
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like when, you know, west of Jamaica right now? What does that look like for? And it's really hard to plan for those kind of scenarios because, as you say, it's so unpredictable. We thought the storm was coming very close to us at one point, and at the end of the day, obviously it veered it off. But you still have to do the same preparation. But nowadays we focus much more in our training and our plans and so forth on recovery, because we're seeing this more and more and more, relief and recovery planning, so you can continue business or try and get back to a new sense of normal. The west of Jamaica is not going to get back there anytime soon, but again, at least these things should be starting now. So you build back better. You try and implement structures, and yes, a lot of it is through training. But I think in the last 2 years, we've done a lot of training that actually focuses not just training, plans and the structures that we've implemented and the jobs that we've been recruiting for are very much focusing on what does this new thing look like. You know, it's very different.
Yeah, there's a question here, whether or not our regiment will be heading down there. And from what I'm taking away from the conversation, if it is not asked for, in this case, you don't just insert yourself. Am I correct?
Absolutely not. One of the worst things you can do is just turn up and decide that you want to go help, because whilst, again, I'm sure half the time it is well-intentioned, we are, as I said, we have a surge capacity medical team on standby through the 3 hospitals as part of our own national structure, and that we have 25 people there ready to go. But until we're asked to go, as that 25-person team's asked to go, we wouldn't embed ourselves. We have no doubt that the request is coming soon, but again, we have to wait for that request from, you know, ODPEM and their health ministry.
Right.
Same with the regiment. If they need regiment services, again, it's something we can potentially offer. But just to bear in mind, I think I mentioned as well, you know, a number of us are all part of this SEDEMA rapid response teams, you know, damage assessment teams. So we've already been called upon on this. Now, again, we want to focus right now on the relief supplies for Jamaica, but it may come to a time that we will activate certain teams, be it through SEDEMA or be it through our own bilateral relationships with Jamaica. And regiment could be one of them, Red Cross could be one of them. You know, there's so many different aspects, but, you know, you don't want so many damage assessment team members and no, you know, logistics personnel. So again, it's really to coordinate those numbers itself is very important.
I mean, just an example of us here in Cayman, right after Hurricane Ivan, we had some gentlemen just fly in and they had blue uniform. Like, who are these guys? And then they had they had Red Cross on their arm. So I thought, okay, it's a Red Cross. And they walked into the Red Cross headquarters right there, and they said, and of course we're all like sweaty, and it's been like 5 days, and they're like, oh, we're here from I can't remember which Red Cross it was, and we're here to help you. We're like, okay, we didn't ask, thank you very much for coming, but honestly, what were we gonna do with all these guys? Where were they gonna sleep? Who's gonna be driving them around? Where are we gonna feed them? And there was so much we were thinking about. It was just too much for us, and we actually had to say, thank you very much for your help, but we don't need this right now. And if somebody heard that, they were like, oh my gosh.
How ungrateful. How ungrateful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that we had our volunteers, we had our plan. Who was going to pick them up every morning, take them here, food and all that? That's just too much.
And hotel, everything about it becomes really tricky. And I think even more so with untrained volunteers, that again, if you're trained in logistics or military or whatever, that's helpful at times, assuming we were asked for that kind of social capacity. But we often see a surge of people coming forward as volunteers who just want to go help. But again, if you're untrained in these kind of scenarios and you're getting into, some very, very tricky territory and infrastructure, you become a burden on the community itself. And so there's so many other ways to help. That doesn't mean deploying to the country or giving, items that aren't being asked for.
Correct. Now, for the sake of those who may just be joining us, their logistics and with what role the Cayman Islands is playing as we help as a nation nationally to assist our brothers and sisters in Jamaica at this time in the recovery process. For the sake of those, do you mind recapping in your individual capacities, please?
So the Cayman Islands Red Cross has launched a monetary appeal. We have it on all our social media handles, and we're asking people to donate money. There's a list from the Jamaican government that says the items that they need. And when we were looking at the list, one of the things that it says is 100,000 mattresses. So if you think about buying 100,000 mattresses, you're not just going to the local store. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that the Red Cross does is they buy in bulk. So they buy in the hundreds of thousands. And that's why we have a monetary appeal, because with those funds, we're not just buying 10 or 100, we're buying in the hundreds of thousands. That way we maintain quality control. Mm-hmm. The goods that we're given is standardized and people can get the right items. And so money really goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ms. Danny?
So I guess from our perspective as a government, so under the National Emergency Operations Centre structure that Hazard Management coordinates, one of the entities there, we have 19 emergency support teams, and one of the entities is the Voluntary Agency Responders. And that, again, is led by Red Cross, and they coordinate all the different charities. The idea is ADRA, R3, Kiwanis, Lions, and the conversations led by them to say who's doing what, mm-hmm. And again, how can we avoid duplication? So obviously we know Rotary set up a good cash appeal. So we'll put all that stuff on our website. But again, we also have the recovery aspect. We have a team who has members of like John Doe's in it, and Will Pinot from the Chamber of Commerce, who is acting as our economic continuity emergency support team chair. Mm-hmm. So whilst we're not in activation mode right now, we've morphed a lot of the people who would normally be working with us under activation into a relief and recovery sort of cell. And that again is logistics, who's at finance, Chamber of Commerce, the Voluntary Agency Responder Chair, John Doe, and other people who can help us. What does this look like? Right now, again, I can't stress this enough, it's really important to be responding to what's being asked for. Hence mm-hmm. why right now we've got the cash requests, the cash. So we have a site, as I mentioned, www.caymanprepared.com/Melissa Relief. Mm-hmm. And again, everything that we're doing is now getting uploaded on that site. So all the up-to-date information about like Red Cross, how to donate, Rotary, how to donate, the Jamaican needs assessment list, everything is on that site. So we'll continue to update that. And I just bear in mind, obviously, some charities will take a while to decide what they want to do. So whilst we might not know, Lions right now may have an appeal in the making, but we don't know about that right now.
Right, right.
That's an example. I'm not.
Yeah.
But so we'll be continuously updating that page once we know more about who's doing what. And again, that's mm-hmm. usually coordinated through the Red mm-hmm. Cross. And again, we continue whilst we stood down the infrastructure, both the executive at the top, council, and the tactical group. We're still providing them daily updates, a full continuity, full COP, which is a common operating picture, to give a really good idea of what's happening in the region, what's the request, what's happening on the ground here in Cayman, and what's our communication strategy and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of, as we're sort of the coordinators, I guess.
Correct.
Behind it.
Now, this is from a national perspective. As the flights continue to go to Jamaica, and I'm quite sure ships as well, persons will individually be sending stuff down. Now, that is in itself their personal responsibility. The purpose of today's show was to look at it from a national perspective, but I'm quite sure persons who want to pack supplies down for their immediate family members that go specifically for their family, they will have to see what services will be provided here in the Cayman Islands that will be specific for their immediate family. The purpose of today was to just highlight it from a national perspective, what the Cayman Islands with the Cayman branding, not cherry picking any particular household, because in your individual capacities representing the government, the Cayman Islands and the Red Cross nationally, you can't say I'm going to Obi's house, or I'm going to piggyback on this and send to Sabrina's family. No, you have to honestly only do transactions with the government of that country, just for full disclosure and the purpose of this show.
100%. I'm so glad you said that, because again, everything that we send over today and everything we send over in future will be consigned to ODPEM, which is our equivalent over there. And everything we send over is in a line with their needs assessment list. So nothing that's on that list is going from the Cayman Islands government to
an individual or your friends or people that work for the Red Cross family or anything like that. It is going to Jamaica's version of hazard management then. Am I correct?
The only thing I would say that was slightly different today is that there was a consignment of MREs, which are meals ready to eat, that were consigned to JDF, Jamaican Defence Force. But that
would make sense.
Is an agreement. So that's the only time we would stray away from that. But again, everything moving forward is going to be consigned to ODPEM, as it was today, other than that one.
Yeah. I thought it was important for me to highlight that, because we keep hearing this broad brush statement that yes, the Jamaican government's going to get it, but my family's not going to benefit. And we don't want to send the wrong message that you can hitch a ride on any national let's say relief that is going down, because that would be a logistical nightmare for you to say, oh, that pallet is for Sabrina's family or John Doe's friends that lives in this part of Jamaica. You can't do that when you're dealing with government to government.
Well, I think what's great now, again, the airlines are open, the commercial airline flights are happening. So those rules, whatever those rules are for being on the receiving end, yes, there may be delays and so forth, but if someone wants to go on a plane, for example, and go to their family in Jamaica and take goods to them, of course, it's great. Commercial airlines are now open again, because that really helps with repatriation, evacuation, but also sending items personally from one person to another. Now, again, I don't know what that looks like at the stage with, if they're not on the flight, that's different. That's
correct.
But everything that we send to Jamaica will be on the needs assessment by ODPEM, and it'll be consigned to ODPEM.
Good. Just good to get that out there. Any final words, closing thoughts? I mean, I'm hoping that people took away and get a better understanding of logistically when the national response, when nationally a country responds and give aid, in this case, as happened earlier today, versus when individuals take it upon themselves, that is more concise, not involving a government, or let's say even when you're dealing with, for example, ADRA, that is headed up by the Adventists, right? That is more with ADRA to ADRA. Am I right?
And Rotary to Rotary and Red Cross to Red Cross, yeah. And the ministers, again, a lot of the churches will have a counterpart in Jamaica that they'll work with.
Correct.
So again, going back to what you can do, if you are a firm supporter of one of these charities, well, that's probably a good way to do it. Go to something that well, that you have a faith in the charity, what the back is. Don't be giving money to any pop-up charities that have no auditing trail and no history, because that's where your money will be taken into the wrong hands.
And be very careful of those online links as well that didn't exist before. GoFundMe pages, but it has a government, looks as though it's a government link on it, but is not a true government link. And while we were talking here, I did put up the link for Jamaica because someone asked for it, that you can go directly for Jamaica. Yeah. So
and we have that link on our website as well.
Okay.
But another interesting thing that came up yesterday was the fabrication of AI photographs that weren't legit. And again, that unfortunately in the times we're living in, that's going to be a problem in the future as to what is legit, what's actually the real thing. And it's a new world that we're living in as far as technology goes. But again, I think
there's a stamp on it. There's a stamp on some of them, unless it's cropped, because it does say AI generated on the top. So there were some sites on Facebook I saw where on the pictures that you thought it was for a legit site, but then the picture actually has like in the top left-hand corner, AI generated. And then you pause. So you know, at the end of the day, you don't want to be sharing those because you can't authenticate that it's legit. It's AI generated.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Sabrina, not everybody will see that. Not everybody says, and you know what, you can crop. I mean, so much is going on. So people have to just be a bit more vigilant. And if you get a photo or you get a video, don't be too fast to just share. People like to just share things. Make sure it's the right thing and it comes from a correct
the one of the shark that was jumping into the car.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. Again, and even some of the images we saw the day after, well, I guess it was 2-3 days ago, were actually, we could see the timestamp was days and days beforehand. It wasn't a legit source. So making sure you're sharing official sources only, and making sure you're doing your bit. And again, I mean, just to reiterate, I think in the closing, it's like, the people of Jamaica really, really need us right now. We have to make sure we're doing what's right for them and what will help them and not what will hinder them. And again, unsolicited donations will hinder the whole supply chain and actually become a real burden. So we're really strongly encouraging the public to do their part, to give responsibly and with dignity. And again, let's be part of this together and help them in any way we can.
Correct. John Doe, any closing words from you, my love?
Well, I know a lot of people have been asking, like, how can they volunteer? So at the moment, we don't have a direct task, but as time goes on, because like we said, this is a long game. It's not over like on Friday and then we sort of next week we come back to normal. We're going to be helping for a while. So if there is a need that arises from the Jamaican government or the Red Cross to say we need this, and if we need people to pack supplies and all that, we will reach out. So people need to stay tuned and listen to your trusted sources, and we'll send a message if we need manpower or woman power to help out, because you just need people to help unpack things. So we'll let people know.
And of course, Melissa has, of course, Cuba, Turks and Caicos, and Bermuda in its path. So this conversation, even though it's primarily focused on Jamaica from a national perspective right now for the role in which these two guests are with me this evening, this conversation could possibly change to also include other jurisdictions. We know that Turks and Caicos and Bermuda are British overseas territories, just like ourselves. And based on the damage that they actually receive over there, we could hear from these persons again doing this appeal, also extending it to those other jurisdictions as well. So it's not that this is signed, sealed, and delivered only for Jamaica. We're going to keep abreast of what's happening with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean as a whole. And what we need to bear in mind is when you see persons like the Red Cross, when you see persons like Danny here, they are speaking from a national perspective, what the Cayman Islands with that brand on it, and they are dealing with the governments of those jurisdictions. So that's the biggest takeaway. But this conversation could change to possibly showcase what national efforts may be in Turks and Caicos, maybe in Bermuda, maybe in Cuba. We don't know. We just have to wait. But I hope that the key takeaways here this evening will state that you just don't insert yourself. You don't just show up there in a government capacity from another jurisdiction unless you've been invited. And there is due diligence that has to be done on both sides, checks and balances as well, because should you, the people of the Cayman Islands, which I've heard saying with all the help that we need here, how much houses are sitting there that are built and people need to get into, why are we doing this over there in Jamaica when people here needs help too? We understand that. But the purpose in which they went to Jamaica is helping our brothers and our sisters in a natural disaster, government to government, helping our brothers and sisters with their immediate need. They did it as a Cayman brand. We have our own domestic issues. The Red Cross is there to help us. Danny kicks in and comes into the play when we have issues happen here. But what they did was a message of solidarity, taking care of our neighbors with the Cayman brand. I want to thank you all for your service. I want to thank you for joining me here on Sabrina Speaks. And I hope that this will not be the last time, even if it's from an educational standpoint, so we understand how all of the wheels turn, because you're having conversations, but because we're not getting enough education to understand when you're talking about Sedima and setting up this arm and set, I can assure you, Danny, they don't understand it. But it is perfect timing now for people to understand what resources and stuff we have here in the Cayman Islands. And it's sad when natural disasters like this happen and certain things kick in, that's sometimes the first time you're hearing about them. So I'm happy that we were able to scratch the surface, to start and open the door for discussions so that, God forbid, we're ever hit, Cayman will be assured that we have certain things, certain connectivities, MOUs set in regionally, that we are well poised, hoping that nobody gets hit with a natural disaster. But at least we have certain things set up here that has us in a very good posture to being able to respond in ways that I think will probably blow people's minds if they have an idea of really what's going on behind the scenes right here in the Cayman Islands.
100% agree.
Yeah.
And you invite us on any time. John Doe and I love talking, and we love hanging out together as well. So by all means, we're always happy to come on the show and then talk more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything.
There's always a lot of information in disaster management, so yeah, we can always come back.
So Connie was saying, I want to just make sure I don't. So we did it in Ivan. So what's the problem? That person is, okay. They were just commenting on what we were saying. No, this is general statement that is being made, Connie. We're just not picking on anything. We're just doing broad brush comments that are made. Who shows up unexpectedly on humanitarian causes in another nation? It has happened, Cameron. John Doe shared the story.
It happens.
It happens a lot because it's coming from a good place. So I don't think people are saying, they think, this island has been hit or this country. They will rush in. People rush in and say, we're here to help. And so we're very cautious, especially even though we love Jamaica a lot, we're actually saying, what do you need? Give us the list and we'll try and help. And even from a Red Cross perspective as well. Yeah.
It's more targeted. It's more concise. And you're actually really honoring what they need. You're answering their call. Like the example you gave. If I say, John Doe, I am short on pillows, and you bring me one whole pallet of Clorox. I didn't ask for Clorox. I asked for pillows. So yes, excellent example. But thank you, ladies. And again, thank you for all that you do. Congratulations for that first trip, guys, for the logistics standpoint in it. And I'm quite sure you'll be hearing more from our government with more details on exactly how this unfolded, be it in this space or other spaces. But I'm happy that I was able to share it in real time, what transpired earlier on today. And thank you for all you do.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, just another reminder, just to follow our page at www.caymanprepared.ky/Minister Relief, because everything was doing in regards to this response, it will be on there and up to date all the time. So thank you so much, listeners, and thank you, Sabrina, and thank you, John. Lovely hanging out with you as always. Both of you.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Have a great
day. Take care.
Sure. Bye-bye. There we go. And there you have it. Yes, Connie, it was just a general statement. I read a lot of the comments. Yeah. They appreciate your thanks. Yes. But tonight, we didn't hear just from updates. I'm hoping that you were able to understand from a national perspective exactly why the Cayman Islands delegation went down there that was presented by our Honorable Premier. Andre Ebanks. You see the picture here. They were there. And that's a pledge that, even though they took US over $200,000 in value, $2 million US in value with essential supplies that we heard, medical supplies, generators, that sort of stuff, based on a checklist that was received from Jamaica. And the Cayman Islands government was the first official humanitarian flight on the ground today in Jamaica. And even though, we made this first trip, it is a pledge by the Cayman Islands government. Right there, you see the picture of the Honorable Premier, and we got our the leader of the government, opposition, the Minister of Agriculture and Works, Minister J. Ebanks, and Home Affairs and District Administration, Nicholas DaCosta, and Dr. Marzouca, who was supposed to join me. I don't know what happened, because he's the representative for Jamaica here in the Cayman Islands. So he's the one that can also act, and he saw it on the ground. He was there to be able to help the Jamaican population here in the Cayman Islands. He would be like your counselor. And he would be able to answer a lot of questions as well, logistical issues. So, of course, I will share all the links on the Sabrina Turner Community Activist Facebook page. I will be sharing any links that I have for you to keep you up to date, and anything that is breaking, and more information along with pictures. But I'm very, very cognizant that there are some pictures that are going around that is just not real. And so unless it's from trusted sources, I'm going to be honest, I will not be jumping and posting just for posting's sake. I will make sure that it's from a legitimate source, so that what I'm giving you is real, and it's aligning with what other stuff is being shared. Like, for example, this one that confirms Flow, saying 70% of their customers are mobile service remains stable for 70% of their customers. So that's a good thing. And, they have joined up now with Starlink. And then another headline, again, from 70% of Digicel service offline following passage of Melissa. So for those of you who are having difficulties getting onto your family, loved ones and stuff, this could be the issue. But Starlink is really being called a hero over there in collaboration with Flow right now. And I'm quite sure in the coming days, who have not heard from their friends, family, and loved ones will hear from, okay. Thank you for that update, Connie. But yeah, so we'll hear from him again on a one-on-one. I promise I will bring him here so that we can get an update on that for you. So tonight, I want to thank our guests, Hazard Management and Red Cross, for just sharing their insights and being very open and honest with you with the role that the Cayman Islands has played here today. And there are more information as well, I'm sure, in the coming days will be released by our government, just legitimizing, exactly what this means for the relationship and continued relationship building in times of need like this. So, I just want to thank you all for joining me here again this evening for another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Looking forward to bringing you tomorrow's episode as well. Hoping to get some young people on. And, tomorrow night is trick or treat. I hope that everybody will have a safe night. And for those of you who will be entertaining those children that will be out trick or treating, please be careful on the roads and take your time in some of these areas for those persons and families and kids who are going out dressed up in their costumes, having a good time tomorrow. So yes, until tomorrow, please stay safe. I want you to be informed, be vigilant, and be kind. And above all, be ready, not just for a storm, but even for the healing that follows, because there's going to be a lot of healing. It has been my pleasure. This has been another episode of Sabrina Speaks. Have a good night.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.